Gaming for XP, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll do part 2 of the voiceovers in our how-to series. Let's get learning! In part 1 of the series, recording voiceovers, we covered mostly the microphones and the setup that you'll need if you're recording on for YouTube or Twitch or whatever the platform it is you go on. Today I'm going to focus on the software that I personally use, but at least walk you through each of the different softwares that I have available to me and why I use them. Obviously, for those of you who are recording on Windows PC, I'll try and give you some alternatives that will help you, but essentially the thought process or the reason I use so many different softwares should translate whatever PC you are using. So first of all, what I wanted to show you was how simple or how complicated recording a video can be. So we'll cut to some footage now. If you have a look at the footage here, I'm going to show you the arena build. Please could just concentrate on how many WAV files, which are the green ones, that I have in the arena build. So for a building video, there's very few WAV files. For something like a how-to, you can see there's considerably more. And therefore, that's why I use different softwares for different applications or different videos. So essentially, I've got 3 different softwares that I use here at Gaming for XP. And I try to keep things fairly simple in their application. So here's the 3 programs that I use. I use Game Capture HD software, which comes with my Elgato capture card, and we'll get into how that's all linked up in just a little while. Audacity is a free program which is downloadable for both Windows and Mac, and I use a Mac for what I do. And then there's iMovie. For Mac, I guess Windows Movie Maker would be the alternative, and iMovie has a built-in function just to record directly into the software voiceovers, and we'll show you that a little bit later. These are the 3 that I use. You can use what you like. There's plenty of programs out there for you to choose from. So let's get in and have a look at the first one, which is the Elgato Game Capture HD. Here's my setup. It's a fairly complicated setup, but if you're using a capture card, you'll be pretty used to this kind of look. So you can see we have an Xbox, which is linked to the Elgato capture card, and then there's 2 USBs. One is a mini USB, one is a standard. And so you have one cable going to your monitor through an HDMI cable, and then the second one, mini USB to USB, that goes to your computer, whatever that might be, and then output from my computer to my Blue Yeti. So with the software that comes with Elgato, which is this one here, you can not only record the gameplay, but you can also record your voice directly as you're playing straight into the software, and I'll show you that. So what you essentially do here is you hit the record button. So I'm going to change the name first of all, voice test, and then we'll hit the record button right there, and then straight after we will hit the commentary button right there, and that makes your microphone live. And you can see in the right hand bottom corner just above voice test, live commentary input. Now this setup I use a lot for streaming, almost exclusively, but you can get away with just using it for gameplay. So we'll stop the recording there, and we'll jump over to Movie Maker. So there it is, it drops the file in your edit box. Now you can do a little bit of editing there. I usually just go into iMovie. So find the file and drop it into iMovie like that, and we'll just pull it down into the workspace, and you can see the footage is baked in with the audio all in one file. And what I don't like about that is that it gives you less control of your overall audio quality, and you can't manipulate it. It's because it's hard baked into the overall file. But what Elgato does do is it gives you two separate files as well. So you can see game audio and commentary there. You can bring those in and you can just drop them in individually, just like this. And so that's not a bad alternative. One of the big problems though with doing that is, especially if it's gameplay, you've got to spend some time just making sure that all syncs up with what you're seeing on screen, and that can be a little bit tricky. And you have to keep in mind you have now got 3 audio sources to play around with, so getting the levels right and stuff. But it's not too bad for you, and if you really want to save time, then it's a good starting point where you're just capturing everything in one hit, and you can do a little bit of editing and off you go. If you make mistakes in your audio, there's no going back though, that's the only problem. So moving on to Audacity, and Audacity is a great little program that sits outside everything. So it's an independent program specifically designed just to capture nothing but audio. And I know a lot of YouTubers and musicians use this software fairly extensively. Let me show you how I use it, and it'll give you an idea if it's for you. Essentially, if I've captured some gameplay footage, what I'll then go and do, and you'll see in a second, I'll do a separate voiceover. And you can see in the footage coming up, so we've opened Audacity. Usually I'll just pick a new file, and then I'll just hit the record button, which we'll see in a second, and I'll hop into watching the gameplay. So what I'm just doing is I'm queuing it up here. So I've got it in the right position. So this can be a little bit tricky. I'll hit the record button, hop back into iMovie. You can see it's starting to record there. And I'll always leave a little space there, which I'll come back to in a minute. Start playing the footage, and this is Halo 4, and start recording my voiceover as I'm watching the footage. And you can go as long as you like, so we'll cut this off in a second. There we go. And so there's the waveform. Stop the recording there. And then what Audacity allows me to do is actually manipulate that wave. So you remember at the start of the wave I left a little bit of a gap there. So what I do is I'll reduce the noise. So there's a number of options that gives you effects you can apply, and here I'm going to apply a noise reduction to the sound wave. So there we go. Go down to noise reduction. There it is. Capture that as a profile. So that's saying that part of if there's anything in the file that has that kind of profile, I want to reduce the noise in it. Select all, hit it again, and then you say okay, and you can set that noise reduction to whatever level you like. I usually just leave it as default, and it'll work away, and it'll get rid of all that background noise, essentially just cleaning up the file for you a bit and improving some of the audio quality and what the audio is focusing on. The second thing I do, the second effect that I apply, in case there's any clipping or any kind of peaks that are distorting, is I just apply a normalize, and that just kind of evens out, smooths out the track. Save it as a WAV file into my hard drive, so we'll call this Halo. And that's pretty much it, you're done. So, okay, thank you all. And all you have to do now is then find the spot you want it to start it at, and import it into Movie Maker or whatever software you're using to do your editing in. So let's find that. There we go. Let's find that audio file. We're looking in the wrong place, by the way, but never mind. It's up the top. There we go. There we go. Halo there. There it is there, and we just drop it straight into the workspace. Sync it up, and we're good to go. So there's Audacity. It is a little bit more work, but the thing I love about using Audacity is it does give you so much more control over your audio, and it helps you balance out, especially with gameplay. When the one thing about playing video games and trying to do YouTube videos is the game audio on different games is different. There is no standard of how loud or how quiet the game audio might be. So you saw before we used Elgato, but Elgato, you're constantly having to change the game audio setting to try and capture, and you never know what the game audio level is going to be. With Audacity, you don't have to worry about that because you can manipulate it within iMovie or whatever your editing software is, and balance that out with the voiceover. I also get double the control. As you see, I can apply a couple of effects in Audacity to improve the audio quality, and then you'll see in a minute, I can also apply, once I import it into iMovie, I can then further apply some enhancements. So it is a good alternative. It's one that I use a lot specifically for gameplay, and therefore it's a good little tool to have in your arsenal when you're recording. And finally, iMovie. And iMovie is where I would say 80 to 90% of my work, especially with the build videos where I don't have to worry too much about background noise, and it's a pretty simple program to use, but it has a lot in it if you want to get reasonable quality. And I have no complaints. I get really good quality with my videos using iMovie. So let's show you some footage of how we use it. I'm going to have an inception moment, so you can see I'm going to do a voiceover for the start of this particular video. So I'll click that little microphone icon, click the record button, and nicely what it does is it actually gives me a countdown, so I can get ready. Once I get to 1, I just start recording, and it's basically live voice recording. You can see it as it's going. You can see the wave being added to your workspace, and I can just push that along like that and just line it up. So once you get the voice wave in, you can actually lower or increase the volume, so just by clicking on there and sliding down. So push that back up to 100% there. And you can also, it gives you a number of options to enhance the audio. So if you click on there, it gives you can reduce noise reduction, and you can use a whole lot of presets to enhance all kinds of things like bass and treble. I always use voice enhancement, especially for the build videos. And secondly, what you can do if you're playing games and you want it to automatically lower the volume of the other clips, there's an alternative there too, right there, and it'll do it for you. And of course, if you had something like Audacity and you use those additional enhancements in iMovie, it really does help to make your audio pop. So iMovie I use a lot, and that's pretty much what I do with my audio every time I'm recording. So there you go, guys. That's everything that I use. And just to recap, generally I would use Elgato Game Capture to capture the footage, and also use that as far as audio goes. I use that for streaming exclusively. Sometimes I'll do live gameplay capture with Elgato, but more often than not what I'll do is I'll capture the raw data and then I'll go back and voice over using Audacity, and then import that into iMovie. iMovie I use pretty much exclusively for everything that I do, but moreover I would use that for my build videos. So just drop the footage in and voice over straight onto into iMovie for build videos. So I hope it's been useful. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas, just showing you what I do and how I use all the different softwares. I think the answer is really that use each of them, or use combinations of all the different softwares depending on what you're doing. It really is situational dependent on how you're recording. So guys, thanks for supporting the channel. I hope you're enjoying this how-to series, and we will catch you next time.